Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. I'm just sitting here in my robe drinking my morning coffee looking sexy as hell as usual. And for anybody who wants to say in the comments that I'm not sexy as hell, nobody cares what you think. I didn't ask you shit. Alright guys, a lot of you have been requesting that I do a few more videos here and there for my enhanced subscribers who have questions about gear and steroids and performance enhancing drugs in general. So I'm going to continue to do that. I will be one of the few YouTube channels who does do that because they happen to be legal in my country. I'm not discussing illegal activity, so therefore, I'm not in any potential violation of my YouTube terms of service. Before I get into that, let me give you guys a bicep shot. Someone asked me in the comments yesterday in a video if it is okay to do an Anavar only cycle as their first cycle. I saw a video the other day from a guy named Dura who openly admits to his use, and he's trying to earn his pro card right now. And he kind of addressed this topic of it's very popular today for everyone to say that testosterone should be your first cycle and that all cycles should contain test. And that's the current party line when you go to any steroid forum. And I'm with him. I completely disagree with that. I think that's bullshit. I'm not going to get into the details of why in this video, but no, I don't agree with that line of thought. I know plenty of guys, myself included, who years ago I ran cycles without testosterone and actually had less side effects for it and never had impotence, sex drive issues, or emotional issues as a result of it. And I know plenty of guys with similar experiences, so it's kind of nonsense. He also stated in that video that he thinks that oftentimes an oral-only cycle can be good for a first cycle. I partially agree there. Now, normally I am not an advocate of oral steroids for the most part, other than serious competitive athletes, mainly because you can only get so much mileage out of them. They tend to be far, far more destructive to your health than injectables are. When you hear most of the issues of health problems associated with steroids, they are generally from oral steroids. On the other hand, Anavar is one of the few that I personally have liked using in the past. It's one of the few that I advocate for non-competitive athletes because it is much, much milder on the body. It doesn't exhibit the same degree of liver toxicity that other orals do, and it has a lot of benefits, and it's just generally one of the lowest side effect steroids out there. So yeah, I think that a 6 to 8 week first cycle of Anavar for someone's first cycle is acceptable as long as they're doing it because of the low side effects and the benefits of Anavar, not because they're scared of needles. And I'll tell you straight up, if you're doing oral cycles because you're scared of needles, you're going to harm your health and get less gains in the long term for the most part. If that is you, then I would say you should probably just stay natural. The steroid game is not for you. Stay natural if you're not willing to inject yourself a couple times a week. Period. So if someone was going to do something like Anavar as their first cycle, I would say around 50 milligrams a week for 6 to 8 weeks, followed by a 1 month mild PCT with just a SERM or something. I would consider, because Anavar is a little less suppressive than most other steroids, you can get away with a fairly mild PCT on it. I think something like 20 milligrams of Nolvadex a day for a month for 95% of people will bounce them back to normal afterwards. And I think you would make just as much gains off of that as you would off of a comparable dose of testosterone for the same length of cycle. And I know guys will say, well, testosterone gives you better gains than something like Anavar. And I completely disagree. Testosterone will give you more water weight, but I think in terms of tissue weight gains and keepable gains post-cycle, once the water drops and once your hormone levels have stabilized, I am of the opinion that Anavar milligram per milligram will put just as much muscle mass on you as testosterone after the cycle is over. But it will do so with less side effects, no bloating. You'll probably get a little leaner on it if your caloric surplus isn't too large and your diet is in check, just due to the nature of the drug. And I think all in all, for many people, it can be a better first cycle, and then maybe for their second cycle they could throw some test in. I am, however, of the opinion that for anybody's first cycle they need to stick with one compound. And do not add multiple compounds ever to your stack. Try each thing when you add it to a stack one at a time so that you can assess how your body reacts. Alright guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope that answered your question, and I will talk to you next time.